Well, would you know, we survived another weekend around here. We're back at it on a Monday, the 9th day of September, 2019. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a chance to spend some of your weekend with us here on the NCW Life Channel. Very interesting weekend from Mother Nature's perspective, wasn't it? We went from 85 degrees on Friday on Saturday, I should say. Actually, we were 87 Friday, 85 Saturday, just 75 on Sunday. We'll be happy to get to 70 today. Big cool down, crazy weather, lightning and thunder. Late on Saturday night and early Sunday morning, we have some time-lapse photos and photography and video to show you when we get to that at the news. It set off a couple of small fires. We'll have that when we get to the news. We also have sports, a lot of sports. Seahawks won. It was a W. That's all that really matters. Seahawks start out their campaign on a winning note. Huge blowout by the Cougars. Huskies lost in a game that didn't end until 1:30 on Sunday morning. I know because I watched it. And the Mariners suffered their worst loss in franchise history yesterday. The hits just keep on coming. That's when we get to sports. Plus the obscure holiday. We got some birthdays to pass along to you today in history. Everybody is entitled to Mike Benatti's opinion. And in a sports story that we brought you on Friday, of course, Kyle Crustangel, the head coach of the Wenatchee AppleSox, announcing his resignation after 3 years at the helm. And Allie, Schank, the assistant general manager of the Wenatchee AppleSox, and Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox, came down to talk about that with me on Friday of last week. We pre-recorded that interview. We'll play it back for you in the back half of the hour as the Wenatchee AppleSox are looking for a new skipper. So we have a lot to get to on this Monday, the 9th day of September. Let's take you around the valley with our Valley View cameras after a very interesting weekend from Mother Nature's perspective. That is, of course, our 4K camera located right adjacent to the cross at the very tip of Wenatchee Heights. The sun is just getting going. We're in for some very unsettled weather, by the way, for the next couple of days. We're not done with some rain and thunderstorms. We are not. There is some in the forecast, about a 50-50 chance of some thunderstorms later on today, and then again on Tuesday, tomorrow. Sunrise this morning, just about a half an hour ago, about 6:30. Sunset tonight will be at 7:25. That buys us 12 hours and 55 minutes of daylight, where we're losing about 90 seconds of daylight a day, and it starts to add up this time of the year, but we still have a few more days of summer, 12 more days of summer yet to go before the autumnal equinox comes our way. We're going to warm back up. We just have to go through a fairly unsettled period of weather, just like we had over the weekend. That's going to continue until we get to about Wednesday or Thursday, and then things will calm back down again. Beautiful view there, though, isn't it? Look at the sun just starting to bathe the Sunny Slope area and Badger Mountain. That's a beautiful view. Camera 2, where are we off to, Megan? We're going to go see, is that the Monument Hill camera out there in Quincy? Hey, good morning, Quincy. Don't know how Quincy fared with the lightning strikes late Saturday, early Sunday. Most of the lightning that I was able to tell from the lightning strike map was to the north of us. The Ante area had some lightning and some rain, Chelan area as well. We did have some down here, but as far as the Columbia Basin, I think that kind of were spared most of the crazy weather on Saturday night and early Sunday morning. Beautiful view as we look down over Quincy. They opened their brand new football field on Friday night. It's a beautiful facility. Unfortunately, the Jackrabbits didn't win. We'll talk about that when we get to sports. Camera number 3, we are off to see, okay, she threw me a loop. Wait a minute, I should know this. Let's think, Dan. I'm seeing the future. I give up. Oh, that's Hose Landing. Okay, that's pointed upriver and zoomed in. I should have known that. Good morning, Hose Landing. I should have. That's bad on me. I should know that. Good morning, Columbia River. Looking good. Hose Landing is a very dicey tower site to get to. I've been on a trip up to Hose Landing, and let me tell you something. If there's a truck or a maintenance rig coming down the other way and you're heading up, there ain't no room to pull over. Somebody's either going to have to back up. That's all there is to it. Beautiful shot from the Hose Landing camera looking over to the Chelan County side of the river. And camera number 4. We say good morning to Jump Off Ridge. The Stamil Basin hanging around there, looking good. I wonder if they're still, I think they're done with the cherry harvest. It's September now. I know in some of the higher elevations where it's considerably cooler, the cherry harvest takes longer to get to and lasts longer, but I'm pretty sure they're done with all the cherries pretty much all over the Pacific Northwest, Wenatchee and East Wenatchee way off in the distance. You can make out Malaga a little bit. Certainly the East Wenatchee bench dominates your view there. That is an incredible view from Jump Off Ridge. And as I mentioned before, do not jump off Ridge. It's a long way down. Okay, it's 5.5 minutes after the hour. We don't have a weather forecast graphic to show you. It's the machine is misbehaving. So I'm just going to tell you what the forecast is, and it's pretty much what we've had for the last couple of days. It's there's a big broad area of low pressure, one kind of a parade of low pressure system, but this is a sizable one that's coming into our area now. That means we're going to have cool weather and unsettled weather. For today, it's going to be fairly cloudy, a couple of sun breaks. That's really about it. Thunderstorm after 12 noon, possible, about a 50% chance of a thunderstorm mixed with some scattered rain showers. Fairly cloudy skies. We'll top off at 71, so this cooling trend continues from 87 to 85 to 75, and now only 71. Mostly cloudy tonight, about a 30% chance of showers. Overnight low of about 54, a chance of showers again tomorrow. Basically, the forecast for Tuesday is the same as today. As the day progresses and we warm up a little bit, the chance of thunderstorms increases. We have about a 50-50 chance of thunderstorms today and tomorrow. Highs will be in the lower 70s, so we're going to be well below normal. Our normal high for this time of the year is about 79 degrees. Going to be cooler than that. Slight chance of rain Tuesday night. Wouldn't bet on it, but it's a possibility. Overnight low of about 56, and finally the sun will be back out on Wednesday, but we'll still have temperatures below normal, only 75 under mostly sunny skies on Wednesday. Sunny again Thursday, high of about 80. We cloud up a little bit on Friday with a high of about 80, and then kind of a mixed bag for the weekend. Kind of a little too far out for the computers to really come into agreement on what we're looking at, but we're looking at partly sunny to partly cloudy skies both Saturday and Sunday with temperatures back up to about normal. But again, cloudy for the most part today, about a 50-50 chance of some isolated showers mixed with thunderstorms this afternoon. Cool temperatures, high of 71. That's the exact same thing tomorrow. We're going to have about a 50-50 chance of some thunderstorms mixed with rain on Tuesday afternoon. And again, highs in the lower 70s. And that's your forecast. It's 7 minutes after the hour. The news is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 7 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, agent here at Senior Insurances of North Central Washington, where we help our clients navigate the Medicare world. One of the things we really enjoy doing is teaching our clients about their rights. Like, did you know that if you have a traditional Medicare supplement, you can change that monthly all year long, regardless of prior health conditions? So if you'd like to know more about your options with Medicare, you can visit us at one of our 5 local offices, as well as give us a call at 888-2600.
My first experience with CVCH, I had to come in with my daughter by myself with a cut in my hand that required stitches. And the care and compassion of CVCH was really significant, that they took the care and compassion and made me feel more as a human instead of just a patient there. The care they have for their community all around, inside and outside the clinic, is what I feel like is different. And that's what makes me want to come back to CVCH and recommend them to my friends and family.
We're back on this Monday. It's 9 minutes after the hour. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies, a chance of thunderstorms, about a 50-50 chance of thunderstorms and rain both today and tomorrow with temperatures in the lower 70s. We have some time-lapse photography from our cross camera, our PTZ camera. This was taken about 16 minutes after midnight, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Of course, this lightning storm was associated with some fairly heavy rains at times. No significant flooding reported. Some mud and rocks on the road on 97A. That's been cleared out. Also, the Antioch Valley had some mud as well. And a few fires were started, but nothing big. Everything's a half an acre or less, and the only fire in the Wenatchee area that was started by this lightning strike was in the Squirrelchuck Basin on your way to Mission Ridge, and it's just not a very big fire at all. Luckily, all of this lightning that we got late Saturday night and early Sunday morning was associated with a considerable amount of rain as well. We had almost 1/4 of an inch of rain associated with the system as it came through. Woke a lot of people up. Significant thunder, lots of lightning. Again, most of the upper valley was considerably more affected than here in the Wenatchee Valley with the isolated power outage, and again, some rain and some rocks on the roadway. It was a very dramatic scene, as you can see. Look at that. As you can see, since that camera is pointing to the north, the vast majority of those lightning strikes did happen along the US 97A corridor between Antioch in Chelan. It was very dramatic, though. And again, about half a dozen very small fires started. This is according to InstaWeb. I'm sorry, not InstaWeb, but the SWIC, the Incident Command Center out there at Pangbourne Memorial Airport. So it was dramatic, but all in all, people seem to have gotten through okay after something that we don't normally see this time of the year. As we get to mid-September, storms like this actually are pretty rare anytime, certainly this time of the year. And again, we can't rule out some thunderstorms both today and tomorrow. In other news, Jennifer Tyler, the Chelan County Sheriff's deputy who successfully sued her department for retaliation and then unsuccessfully ran for office against Sheriff Brian Burnett, she's been fired from the force. The 44-year-old deputy said she was informed on August 30th of Burnett's decision to fire her. That was 10 months after she was placed on administrative leave. The reason for her firing, not disclosed, but Tyler told NCW Life the Sheriff's Administration considers her, quote, unrehabitable in the department. It's her second dismissal, by the way, from the force. After the first one in 2010, she won a nearly $1 million judgment in a civil suit against Chelan County. She sought to unseat Sheriff Brian Burnett in the November election last year, but the incumbent sheriff easily won a third term. Well, the public will have a chance tomorrow to meet new Wenatchee School District Superintendent Dr. Paul Gordon. The school board will hold a special reception for Gordon and his wife, Mary Ann, from 5:30 to 6 at the school district office on Sunset Avenue. The reception open to the public, and it will be held before the school board's regularly scheduled meeting tomorrow night. Gordon started work July 1st after 6 years as superintendent of the Glen Ellen School District in Illinois. Speaking of school districts, incumbents and challengers, the Wenatchee School Board plan to take audience questions in a forum later on tonight organized by local Democrats. 5 people are in the running for 3 seats, with incumbent Sunny Hemphill facing a challenge from Martin Barron. Laura Jakes tries to retain her seat against Melissa Tigard. The public forum takes place at 6:45 today at the Douglas County Fire District Number 2 headquarters in East Wenatchee. And the city of Chelan is considering buying almost 10 acres of undeveloped lakeside property not far from Don Morse Park. The city council will meet Tuesday at 6 o'clock to consider the Spader Bay purchase. The land has been for sale for some time and is listed at just under $2 million. What the city would be willing to pay will be determined at tomorrow's meeting, but Chelan Mayor Mike Cooney says it's not going to be $2 million. It's called the O'Neill property. The land is owned by former State Senator Linda Evans Parlett and her sister. Cooney said the city's vision for the property does not include substantial development, and that's what's making headlines at 13 minutes after the hour. We have some video, by the way. I almost forgot some video about the possible land purchase up there in Chelan.
It's an open space that's adjacent to the water. It's not typical waterfront property. You don't walk into the beach from there. But there are improvements that could be made to have it water accessible. I guess there'd be a list of things in my head. There's pros and cons of buying the property. The pros would be it keeps it open space, a pretty good wide swath of land that's right adjacent. It's a hillside. I think it's seeing more homes built there would further, further the whole growth debate. And so anytime that we made a promise to the city, or at least I did, whenever a piece of property would come on the market, we would take a serious look at it for open space. We would look at it for some type of amenities for the town. There could be a little pocket parks. There's a trail already built there. It's an old service road. And so it would help us continue the trail system that we already have going from Don Morse Park up along the highway up to the roundabout. It would go, it would loop down into, so it actually could be a nice extension to a trail system that we have started already. The upper bench of the property has nice flat land, a fair amount of property there that could be used for a passive park more than anything. We're not looking at putting amenities up there.
And again, the Chelan City Council will consider that purchase at tomorrow night's regularly scheduled City Council meeting. And that's what's making headlines on this Monday. It's quarter after the hour. We'll have the complete Monday wrap-up of news coming your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, the evening news right here on the NCW Life channel with Grant Olson in the anchor chair. Also handles the weather forecasting. He's going to be a busy guy today with all of this unsettled weather all the way through about Wednesday of this week. So Grant with the news and the weather, Eric Granstrom with sports, the news, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. You can also watch it on demand by going to our website at ncwlife.com. That's a tool you can use to get a hold of us. If you go to our website, ncwlife.com, and click on the Contact Us icon, fill out the form, we get it. Or you can email us. You can see that right at the bottom of your screen. News at ncwlife.com. Drop us a line if there's something out there that you think warrants our attention. It's 16 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a break. Sports is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Merry Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Merry Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today, 509-663-1710.
Presenting a whole new line of more powerful, more fuel-efficient tractors from Coyote. It may not be the kind your grandfather bought 60 years ago, but it's probably the kind he'd buy today. Test drive one at your local Coyote dealer.
Rose Tractor, quality brands you can trust year after year.
We are back on this Monday edition of Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, 17 minutes after the hour, and let's talk about sports. Russell Wilson hit Tyler Lockett on a 44-yard touchdown play in the very first play of the fourth quarter. Seattle comes from behind. They beat Cincinnati yesterday, 21-20. One could say that the Seahawks won in spite themselves. You know, the offense struggled all day. The line allowed 4 sacks. The defense gave up a career passing day to Andy Dalton, who threw for 418 yards. But as Pete Carroll always likes to say, it's how you finish, not how you start. That counts.
The thing that was great about this football game was we were behind the whole time, and we played from behind the whole day. And those guys never stopped. They never stopped thinking they were going to win the football game. That's so valuable to us because we're going to be behind in games, and it's going to be hard. They're going to be tough, and that was really obvious. And the mentality was just where it needed to be to go ahead and set it up for an opportunity to come from behind and make a win, and then hold them off and get out of here. You know, and so I think the play of the day. There's a few plays of the day in this one, but the pass to Tyler, the execution from Russell to Tyler to put us ahead to stay was really an incredible play. And just two guys that just have been together a long time, saw something, they made a little adjustment, and here we go, and it was perfect.
Russell Wilson threw for 2 touchdowns, by the way, yesterday. The other went to Chris Carson, who also scored a rushing TD. And rookie DK Metcalf had an excellent opening day. He had 4 receptions for 89 yards. So the Seahawks are 1-0. They'll take on the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. in Pittsburgh. The Steelers were blown out last night by the Patriots 33-3. Let's take a look at the Les Schwab College football scoreboard. From over the weekend, Anthony Gordon threw for 464 yards and 4 touchdowns. Washington State 2-0 on the year, a 59-17 blowout win over Northern Colorado. The Washington Huskies came out flat to start their game against Cal. They were even flatter, following a 2.5-hour lightning delay. Game ended at 1:30 in the morning. I know, I watched it. The Bears beat the Huskies 20-19. Jacob Eason just 18 of 30 for 162 yards, no touchdowns, threw an interception. Husky offense just simply never got on track. Eric Berrier threw for 522 yards and 5 touchdowns. Eastern Washington got past Lindenwood 59-31. The Eagles are 1-1 on the year, and Central Washington played Idaho tough, but they lost to the Vandals 41-31. The Les Schwab Prep football scoreboard from over the weekend. Wenatchee gave Mount Si all it could handle on Friday night, but the Cougars came out on top of the Panthers. The final was 26-16. Grant Olson and Eric Granstrom were there, and they had the call on the NCW Life channel.
4th and 6 now, big down for the Panthers. Sermon left side has Delstein. Did he come up with it in the end zone? Touchdown, Panthers. How about that? 35 yards.
Just as we talked about, Grant, Camden Sermon will not get his dauber down. 4th down and long for the Panthers. Dial one up down the field to a guy you know he's worked with so much in this offseason. They have thrown that ball probably 192,000 times here on this turf with nobody watching. They do it here and have a chance to tie it.
1 yard line, 1st down and 10. 2:44 left to go here, 3rd quarter.
Oh, fumble the football in the end zone. Safety, I think, Grant.
It is a safety! A fumbled snap, or was it a handoff that was fumbled? I didn't see it.
No, fumbled snap. The center threw his helmet down in disgust. Could have got a 15-yard penalty on top of it there, but no exchange. It did not go anywhere, and the Mount Si Wildcats were lucky that the quarterback was able to cover that football in the end zone.
Blauman with it, or I should say Sermon out of shotgun. Looks downfield, rolling to his right, still rolling. He better get rid of it. Shovel pass to Blauman in the end zone. I don't think he's going to get out of there.
Nope.
He's not, and that's a safety. Safety for Mount Si. 1st down and goal now for Mount Si. Handoff Beverly. Breaks the first tackle. Still at the 10-yard line. Gets away from everyone. And he's going to rumble in. And that's a touchdown. The Panthers had him dead to rights at about the 9. And that's a 10-yard touchdown run.
That's a good team, Mount Si. It was a good victory for the Wildcats. The Panthers come up sports. Speaking of Wildcats, Eastmont, no trouble on the road at Wilson. They won 42-0. Ferris knocked off Moses Lake 40-7. Zilla ruined Quincy's debut of its brand new football field as the Jackrabbits fell to defeat 28-7. Chelan stopped Brewster in a barn burner 35-25. Kashmir took overtime to beat Ephrata 20-14. Cascade, no trouble in their opener. They beat up on Natchez Valley 54-2. Manson shut out Kettle Falls 20-zip. Antioch topped Selkirk on the road 42-28. And on Saturday afternoon, Wyerville Mansfield fell just short to Northport 42-40. To the Les Schwab Prep soccer scoreboard. On Saturday, the Central Valley Bears came to town, shut out the Wenatchee Panthers at the Apple Bowl 3-0. Eastmont and Southridge played to a 2-2 tie. The Wenatchee Wild spent the opening weekend of the new BCHL season north of the border, taking on Merritt and West Kelowna. Nice weekend for the Wenatchee Wild. They returned home with a 2-0 record on Friday. Merritt jumped out to a 1-0 lead midway through the first period before Brian Adams answered shortly before the break. That tied it at 1-1. Nick Caffarelli gave Wenatchee its first lead of the game at the 14:33 mark at the second period. Then in the final seconds, as the Centennials pulled their goalie, Brett Chorsky added an empty netter to give the Wild a 3-1 victory. Daniel Chenard, by the way, stopped 29 of 30 shots for Wenatchee on Friday night. Then Saturday, the Wild fell behind early as West Kelowna scored 2 quick goals in the first 3.5 minutes. They gave him a 2-0 lead. Nick Caffarelli scored his second goal of the young season just before the first intermission. That drew Wenatchee within 1. And then in the second frame, Tyler Young tied the game at 2 with a goal at the 8:04 mark. And then Brett Chorsky gave the Wild his first lead at 16:57. But the Warriors' Austin Chorney tied it just before the break. Caffarelli helped Wenatchee charge back in front with a goal just over 2 minutes into the final period. Tanner Main pushed the lead to 2 goals at the 16:03 mark. Lucas Cullens scored a goal for West Kelowna in the final moments, but Wenatchee held on for the 5-4 win. The Wild host Vernon Friday and Saturday at the Town Toyota Center. It's home opener weekend. Both games, Friday and Saturday, start at 7 o'clock. Our condolences to the general manager of the Wenatchee Valley Super Bowl, Jeremy Anders, who lost his dad late last week. But Jeremy showed up at the track anyway because that's what he does. And he hosted a great night of racing at the WVSO. Quincy's Glenn Knutson won the Jerry Burschauer Memorial 100 in the Jerry's Auto Supply Pro Late Models Championship. Seth Frazier drove to the checkered flag in the street stocks. The Northwest Pro 4 Trucks winner Saturday was Puyallups' Jason Majors. Clint Klatschmidt of Auburn drove his numbers 27 to the finish line in the Northwest Vintage Modifieds. And Othello's Jared Marin won the Columbia River Legends race. If you checked the box score for the Mariner game yesterday, you probably thought you stumbled into a Bear League softball score, 21-1. It is the worst loss in Mariner franchise history. Felix Hernandez lasted just 2 innings. He allowed 11 runs, 7 hits. The Astros' Jordan Alvarez hit 3 of Houston's club record 11 doubles on the day. He had 6 RBIs. The Mariners' only hit off starter Garrett Cole came in the 4th inning on Shed Long's home run. So they were swept by Houston in 4 games. The Mariners are off today. Then they host Cincinnati tomorrow night at 7:10. Trevor Bauer will take on Seattle's Justice Sheffield. And to the American League West scoreboard. Yesterday, Texas had 20 hits in their 10-4 victory over Baltimore. 4 White Sox pitchers held the Angels to 1 run on 4 hits. Chicago, they beat LA 5-1. And Chris Davis's 2-run double in the 4th was the difference as Oakland beat Detroit 3-1. The A's are trying to keep pace with Houston in the American League West. They trail by 9.5 games. Right now, Oakland would have the second wild card playoff spot. They're a game and a half in front of Cleveland. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Monday. It's 26 minutes after the hour. It's time for the Obscure Holiday. Today is Teddy Bear Day. There you go. Teddy bears. The roots of Teddy Bear Day go all the way back, of course, to Theodore Roosevelt. It's a very famous story. Teddy Roosevelt was on a hunting trip with some friends. Roosevelt's attendants, for lack of a better term, cornered, clubbed, and then tied a black bear to a tree. And then they said, okay, come on down, Mr. President. You can shoot the bear. It's tied up to a tree. It's not going to do anything. You have a trophy. And he said, I'm not going to do that. He had his assistants shoot the bear because the bear was in obvious distress. But the media caught wind of what Teddy Roosevelt did. People became fascinated with the story, and they started equating the president with black bears. And then somebody decided, I want to make teddy bears and cash in on this fad. He actually asked Roosevelt permission to use the term teddy bear because his name was Teddy Roosevelt. And he said, sure, I don't care. Probably should have asked for royalties. The guy started to manufacture teddy bears. They became an instant success. And of course, now teddy bears are an American icon. Happy National Teddy Bear Day today. I don't have one. Today in history, September 9th, 1776, 243 years ago today, this country got a name. There they are. It was the Second Continental Congress. And they said, okay, well, we've already declared our independence. We're going to go to war to Great Britain. What do we want to call ourselves? They were known as the United Colonies until this date in 1776 when they decided to change their name to the United States of America. There you go. Now you know how we got our name. It sounds better than United Colonies, doesn't it? America got its name 243 years ago. Speaking of America, September 9th, 1791, 228 years ago, that, my friends, is the flag of Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, got its name on the state named after President, of course, George Washington. Washington, D.C. is an interesting anomaly. Of course, it's a federal enclave, even though there's a mayor and an elected council, just like most cities have. Congress maintains the supreme authority over the city, and the Washington, D.C. City Council can pass ordinances and laws, but the Congress can simply overrule them if they so desire. It makes you wonder why they even bother. The Smithsonian Institute was founded by James Smithson, who was an Englishman who never set foot on American soil. More fun facts about Washington, D.C. Residents of Washington, D.C. drink more wine per capita than any residents of the 50 states. They love their wine in Washington, D.C. All of a sudden starts making sense now, doesn't it? And in case you didn't know that, there's an empty crypt that lies beneath the Capitol building. George Washington was supposed to be buried in that crypt. He wasn't. Just in case you didn't know that. Happy birthday, Washington, D.C. Happy birthday, California. California is the place you ought to be, so they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly. September 9th, 1850, 169 years ago today, California is admitted to the Union as the 31st state. It was originally known as the Grizzly Bear State when it was admitted in 1850, but as California boomed, the bear population was wiped out. Now, there's lots of bears in California, but grizzly bears are gone. The last grizzly bear in California was sighted in 1924, so now it's just the Golden State, but that's why they have a grizzly bear on their flag. If California was a country, it would have the 5th largest economy in the world. 1 out of every 8 citizens lives in California. About 72,000 people a month move to California. And Fresno, with a population of 522,000, is the largest city in America not connected to the interstate highway system. Happy 169th birthday, California. And finally, you ever wonder what the term computer bug came from? That right there, the very first case of a computer bug. The Harvard Mark II computer at Harvard University stopped working when a moth lodged in a relay. So the relay couldn't connect and the computer started working, and they opened it up and they found that moth stuck in there. And that's how the term computer bug came to be on this date, 72 years ago today. And finally, we got some birthdays. Almost all of these are historic birthdays. William Bligh, of course, the mutiny on the Bounty. William Bligh was the captain. His crew didn't much care for him, so they sent them adrift on a tiny little lifeboat with everybody who was still loyal to Captain Bligh, and they launched him away in the South Pacific and said, good luck, you're going to die. Well, they didn't die. Captain Bligh and his men actually, in one of the most remarkable seamanship things in American history, actually journeyed 3,618 miles to safety. William Bligh will always be known as Captain Bligh from Mutiny on the Bounty. He was born in the state in 1754. Leo Tolstoy, he did all right. The Russian author and playwright, lived to the age of 83, and he was born in 1828. Obviously, War and Peace, the seminal novel. I've never read War and Peace. It's on my list of books to read. Leo Tolstoy, born in the state in 1828. Colonel Sanders, whose secret recipe for fried chicken became a worldwide phenomenon, was born in the state in 1890, died at the age of 90. In 1980, he struggled and struggled and struggled, made a lot of money, eventually, with his secret KFC recipe of 11 herbs and spices. Colonel Sanders, an American icon, born in the state in 1890. Otis Redding, my favorite soul singer. I love Sam Cooke, love James Brown, love them all, love Aretha, but my all-time favorite, Otis Redding. I love Otis Redding. He was born in the state in 1941, perished in a plane crash. In 1967, Otis Redding, sitting on the dock of the bay, he wrote Respect. Aretha Franklin made it her own, but Otis wrote it. The legendary Otis Redding. I listened to a lot of Otis Redding music, by the way, over the weekend. And Eric Stonestreet, the American actor, there he is, plays Cameron on Modern Family, was born in the state in 1971. That would make him 48 years old today. Plays Cam Tucker on Modern Family. He's my favorite character on that show. He's hilarious. All right, going to take a break. When we come back, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. Then my conversation with Allie Schank and Joel Norman for the Wenatchee AppleSox. They're going to have to find themselves a new manager. We'll talk about that with those two when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
¿Qué pasó, mi gente? Su servidor Sergio Ávila. Y yo, su servidor Ronnie Castro. Comenzó el verano y estamos listos para disfrutar la carnita asada aquí con la raza del Town Nissan. Ven a disfrutar con nosotros en nuestros bajos precios, así como en este Honda CR-V por $10,991 y este Buick LaCrosse por $7,991. También les ofrecemos vehículos certificados como este Nissan Altima y este Nissan Rogue con garantía limitada de 7 años o 100,000 millas. Compra con confidencia en el Town Nissan, atrás de casco en East Wenatchee.
Campfire North Central Washington, serving youth ages 3 to 18. Register today in one of Campfire's programs. Club members meet regularly with volunteer leaders to learn responsibility, sharing, cooperation, and citizenship. When a child is involved in Campfire, they will be actively learning and engaged in activities, encouraged to learn new skills, feel a part of the group, learn to work in a team setting, participate in planning, goal setting, and making lasting memories.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Come see how very different you will feel in your Bullfrog Spa.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, you ever think about this? You have a girlfriend or a wife that sometimes you don't treat them very nice. You figure, hey, This is my private life. It's nobody's business if I'm a jerk now and then. Besides, you think the wife, the girlfriend, she's sometimes less than pleasant herself. So it's her fault if I get mad at her and call her names or something like that. Well, let me tell you, there's a good chance that someone's therapist knows all about you. I mean, you never know. If you ask any mental health professional, they'll be able to tell you that they have a client or two whose significant other has no idea they've sought therapy. I tell you, that's something that maybe you should think about. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hi, Stephen DeVilbus here, Branch Manager of Beneficial and Home Care. We are an equal opportunity employer and we do not discriminate in employment or services. It is our mission to maximize our clients' physical health and sense of mental well-being while remaining in the comfort of their home. We are currently seeking professional caregivers who share our mission to help our clients live safely and comfortably at home. Call Beneficial and Home Care. Schedule your interview today. 509-663-7900.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Thursday afternoon, the local sports world was, well, stunned, for lack of a better terminology, when it was learned after 3 years at the helm that Kyle Crestangel was stepping aside as the head coach of the Wenatchee AppleSox. We're going to be talking about that and all things AppleSox and baseball with two of my favorite people. The assistant general manager of the Wenatchee AppleSox, Allie Schank, who's been on this program, is to my immediate left, and of course making his first ever appearance on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, the voice of the AppleSox, Storman Joel Norman. How are you?
We're good.
Good.
You know, obviously wish we were coming on different terms.
Yeah. Word came on Thursday afternoon that Kyle decided to step aside. I was mildly shocked when again towards the end of the season interviewing Kyle as we did at Paul Thomas Senior Field during the pennant race and then on into the playoffs against Victoria. I sensed some fatigue from Kyle and a little maybe some burnout. And he mentioned the 140 games that he'd coached that year between Yakima Valley spring and fall ball, and of course the AppleSox season, which is all through June, July, and August. Joel, I'm going to start with you. You're as close to this team as anybody. You spent every day with them from June through the middle of August. What was when you got the word that Kyle was stepping aside? What was your initial reaction?
Well, it's unfortunate. We're bummed about it, I think is the best way to put it. We had a great season this past year to build off of, and we thought there was a lot of good things to look forward to in 2020. You know, we thought that, you make the playoffs, what's next? And in a lot of ways, maybe we still have those expectations, but perhaps the team is going to look different than we initially imagined. So it's unfortunate, but we understand Kyle's decision. He does do a lot. He's a pretty busy, hard-working person, and we admire that. That's part of why he was hired for this job before Allie and I even got here. That's because other people saw it. Jim Corcoran saw that. And, we're very thankful for everything he did in his AppleSox time. But we're at this point, we have to start looking forward to the future. It's a long off season, but you want to get that coach in as soon as possible.
One of the last conversations I had with Kyle, he talked about it looked like a lot of guys were interested in coming back to play another season of AppleSox baseball. Usually the turnover is pretty high, but he was looking at a considerable amount of veteran players returning for the 2020 campaign. How does that going to affect building the roster for next year? Allie, do you want to address that too?
Yeah, Jose Willsby, he's our owner, and he was really adamant about wanting the front office staff to play a bigger part in creating the rosters and all these off-season transactions and reaching out to the guys. So that is one of the things. The first thing that after we got off the call with Kyle the other day was Jose immediately was like, all right, well, we need to reach out to those guys who did express interest because we want them back. And I know having a different coach is a different feeling and it's a different vibe, especially when you're a college coach. You're saying, okay, I'm going to send my players off to these programs for the summer. Kind of want to know who's coaching my players, but hopefully we have a great coach. We're in the works, but.
And we'll talk about how the job search is going to go. We have Kyle's statement. I believe we can throw up on the screen real quickly from the press release that came over. So there it is, Kyle's formal statement. Again, we talked about the burnout factor. It should be noted, and Allie and Joel, I'll let you both talk about this. Coaching the AppleSox throughout the course of the season, you basically don't really get a day off, do you?
No, there aren't too many for sure.
No.
Whether it's the off days, you have to run a kids camp or something like that. Kyle certainly kept busy, and again, that's something we really admired about him. I said he wanted to be busy, he wanted to be doing as much as possible, but burnout is real in every job, in every profession. Whether you love it or not, it's going to happen inevitably. It's how you kind of manage that. And, Kyle, he feels like he's doing the best decision for him to manage that. So, again, we totally respect that. And while we would have loved to have had him in 2020, we're, excited. And we still will keep him, as Jose has said, a part of the family. He's still a part of this, We always say, Ed Nags is someone who he coached us for 15 years. Obviously not with us anymore, but, every once in a while we still are involved with him. We still talk to him about the jerseys and whatnot that we wear. So Kyle will still be a part of the family one way or another.
And of course, we see Ed all the time at baseball games before he has to go down to Corvallis and do a summertime job. I always see him at Rec Park in Dan Whitefield. He's a baseball nut, and he's still a Wenatchee guy, and we love Ed. The search. What now, Allie? I mean, I know this was a small bomb that dropped on your lap on Thursday afternoon. What's the first item of business?
Right now, we have to find a new head coach.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
How does one go about doing that? Are there websites?
It's like what we were talking about. Ed has been such an integral part, and Ed actually helped us recruit the last two coaches that we had. And so he's really involved in the baseball world, like you said, and so he kind of knows a lot of the coaches who are moving up, a lot of the coaches who are looking to fill like that summer spot. And so he's really been beneficial because he's given us a bunch of leads. And so right now we're just following up with all the leads and making sure that we're making the right connections with people.
Any word, did Kyle give any word about, hey, I'm stepping aside because I got, as we talked about the burnout, but this person A, B, and C might be somebody you could be considering. Did he drop any names before he dropped out of sight, I guess is the best way to put it? Did he make any suggestions for his replacement, I guess is the question.
He had a few suggestions, and we actually had some people who reached out to us that he had talked to them about the fact that he was stepping down. And so he kind of reached out to guys that he knew that would be interested in the position as well. So we've heard back from those people too.
What's the timeline? Is there a sense of urgency to get somebody on board now or as soon as possible?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about how it's so important to start recruiting immediately. And Kyle talked about, as you had heard, there was going to be a lot of people expected back. The Wenatchee World had a great article about a couple weeks ago where Kyle said, I've already talked to a lot of guys, and we want to make it as easy on the new coach as possible. It's hard for someone to just jump in September and then be told, okay, you've got to get a team on the field by June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, whatever. You've got to do it. So we want to get the MS set up as best as possible. So like Allie said, the best thing we can do is hire someone as soon as possible. That said, we're going to do a thorough search. There's going to be lots of work put into it, but we're anxious to see what we can get next for obvious reasons.
What's the future of Kyle's staff? He had a pitching coach and a fielding hitting coach, whatever, two other people on the staff to make up the managerial and coaching part of the job. Where are we with those two folks? Are they sticking around? Are they leaving? What's going on?
Well, Cash, who was our assistant coach, he actually got engaged this past weekend. So I think he's moving in a different direction. He probably needs to take some time, plan a wedding. And then Tyler Von Drasek, who was our assistant pitching coach, he recently started at Gonzaga. He started a management program there.
Okay.
So
getting his master's
there.
Yeah,
he's getting his master's there, and so he's off doing other.
So we'll have a whole new coaching staff.
Brand
new. Sure.
Basically.
And the new coach will have not necessarily carte blanche, but will pretty much be allowed to hire two assistants at his volition. How does that work?
We encourage the new coaches, whenever a coach is brought in, whenever Kyle would choose a coaching staff, we always encourage them to get people they're familiar with, but also that can help us from a recruiting standpoint. It's important to be comfortable with who you're working with, because if not, then it doesn't matter how good the recruiting pool is, that you're probably not going to win some games. We want to be comfortable, but we want to have an advantage in recruiting. It's pivotal that we're continuing what we did this past year and getting Division I players as much as possible and more experienced players as well, because we want them to go back to their programs and say good things about the AppleSox. And maybe sometimes I always say the best recruiting we can do is leave a good impression on the players who came, because all it takes is them wearing a hat or a shirt or somehow that coming up in a conversation when they go back to school or with their head coach, because that's how relationships are formed.
Being the head coach of the AppleSox is a desirable position. You're going to get resumes. You might even get some resumes. I'm not even sure about that. Then there's a vetting process. Is it you and Ken Osborne and Jose who are going to get together?
Yep.
Talk about that process. You're going to have a cutoff date, I'm sure. Please get your resume in by this point, and we'll start that process. So what is exactly the timeline? Do you have one? We want to have a coach by the end of this month or what?
We actually, it's going off of what Joel said. We don't really have a set timeline. If the right candidate hasn't come along, we're going to keep searching for them. But we're pretty focused in what we're looking for. We want someone who basically embodies what the AppleSox value. We want someone who's really about the community, who wants to reach out, make an effort to include more people, stuff like that, and just have a really good overall persona on and off the field. And that's a really important part of the job. And so it's kind of difficult because, what's on paper, what's on a resume is a lot different than what's actually going to come out in person. And it's really difficult to figure out who's the perfect
And you're
position.
coaching young adults, almost
Yes.
almost still kids. We're talking 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and that's a whole nother ball game, isn't it?
It is.
No, absolutely. And sometimes these guys, Kyle joked. I remember last year, the open practice right before the season starts. I remember him saying, I was right down there watching. He was talking to some of the guys. He goes, "Yeah, I just talked to the only ones who I knew, told them to kind of be ringleaders, at least for the first few days." A lot of times for the coaches, that's a tough part. You recruit these guys, sure, you know them on paper, but you never met the kid until the summer season begins. So, again, as we've said before, the most important thing for a coach is to have strong relationships with other college coaches, maybe a little bit higher up or even lower, because you're going to get some great options at the Division I level, as we prefer, obviously, but some of those JUCO players obviously turn into impressive players as well.
And enthusiasm for the game of baseball. Boy, Kyle had that in spades, didn't he? He loved baseball. He loved to talk about baseball, and that's critical, isn't it?
No, absolutely. You want whoever you bring in to be passionate, because as we've seen with all four of our head coaches now, whoever comes next to the fifth, but all four, you've seen the passion for baseball, and I've had the chance to talk with all but one of them ever since. But it's been really nice knowing them and seeing how they laid a great foundation. A lot of it goes to Ed, but you also think there's contributions everyone had. Gary Llewellyn set the stage back in 2000. AJ Prozek obviously didn't make the playoffs, but he had two pretty darn good talents going to the next level, Keston Hira and Michael Toglia. So every coach brings something different, and whatever our next one brings, we're excited to continue our strong tradition and make some new memories along the way as well.
Maybe it speaks to the stability of the AppleSox as an organization. In those 20 years, they've only had 4 head coaches, right?
Yeah.
That's remarkable. How many teams in the West Coast League has been around that long with that less small turnover?
It's hard, and we were talking about this the other day. There's a lot of turnover in college summer ball right now because in a lot of ways the schedule has expanded. It makes things a little bit tougher, and you get guys like Kyle who you want to do this, but boy, you've got a long program ahead of you in the fall and then in the spring again as well. So again, we completely understand, but turnover is normal in this industry. I was looking back at, there were 4 different first-year head coaches across the WCL in 2019. I'd be surprised if we didn't surpass that, say, next year. Maybe there's a few other coaching changes. Bellingham's coach has already stepped down after 2 seasons, and they made the playoffs the year before this, and they nearly made it this year. So whether you win or not, sometimes it's just fatiguing. And sometimes, even if you win it all, maybe you say, maybe I need a break. So everyone's different, and we're in an industry that's so used to change. Summer college ball isn't about getting attached to anyone.
Right.
We were spoiled on Wenatchee. Ed Nags was here that long. Yeah. So I think as a fan, as a season ticket holder, you might think, okay, why are they losing a coach after 3 years? It's just the way the industry is. That shows even more how special it was that Ed, the time he had here with us was.
Kyle left a winning record. We got back in the playoffs for the first time since 2013. We came within one excruciating out of advancing to the championship against from our friends from up north. It was a great year. Kyle was a great coach. He's going to be missed. I guess the only person who's super happy about all this is Kyle's wife.
I bet, yeah.
Hey, I get to see my husband again.
Yeah, she's a Wenatchee native too,
Yeah.
so she misses it. She expressed a lot of gratitude for the time. They're 2 great people. We loved having that family here, and wish them nothing but the best moving forward.
So, while we're here, let's do a little AppleSox hot stove leave. One of the myths and misconceptions is that Allie and Joel don't do anything between now and June. That's a total falsehood. Are you bringing Marcy back as your billet coordinator?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. She's class of '83. We rock. Marcy's a sweetie. I love her.
Yes, she is.
So everything else, front office wise, is stable. It's going to be you and Ken and I'm sorry, your name again, Joel and the crew. So that's good. Stability is key,
absolutely,
especially with it. But so what are you guys doing now between say now and the holidays? What's
It's a lot of recap of 2019 right now, and obviously this we've got thrown a curveball this week, so that adds to gives us a little more work to do, I suppose. So don't worry, we're not bored. There's plenty to do right now. So usually this time of the year anyway, August, as Allie can attest, is August, September, a lot of recap and kind of slowly beginning to prepare, but a lot of recap because when the season ends, it just lost the
records
record.
fall over all the time.
As the season ends, the season just kind of comes to a screeching halt,
out of there.
and then all of a sudden you're like, now what?
Now what? Yeah.
It's kind of like picking up the pieces and remembering what you did this year, and kind of it's so many things that I notice in season you don't have time to reflect on immediately. The bobblehead nights, we can't think about that. We can't say how good was this because we had a game at 6:35 the next night.
Yeah.
So in the off season now, we're kind of slowly dissecting game by game what can be done better here. What can I change on myself? What can I change in my broadcast? Little stuff like that. The off season gives you a lot of time to reflect, and it's nice to have a full off season to prepare. And as always, we're going to be back and better than ever next year.
Are you going to have a chance to head back east for a little bit and see family and friends? Allie, I believe you're from Georgia, is that correct? I'm trying to remember. See, I remember. Not bad. You going to have a chance to go back home a little bit and see folks during this downtime, or
Probably.
pretty much still just working hard?
Just working hard, but maybe a few days off.
Absolutely.
So do you want to play, Allie obviously as the assistant GM is going to play a significant role in the hiring of a new coach. Obviously, my guess is Jose is the final authority in all this, but certainly Allie, Ken, and Jose are part of the vetting process. Do you want to play a role in any of that, or have they asked you to
I'm here for
sit
whatever.
in on an interview or anything like that?
My joke is always, I'm just the broadcaster.
I mean this in all sincerity, because the coach is a public person. He's a public figure. He has to have media savvy. He has to be a good interview. Kyle was certainly that.
Yeah.
I mean, so that you probably should have at least.
I trust their judgment. Jose is a baseball vet.
Yeah.
Allie has more than shown that she's capable of doing this job in her time here. Ken has, again, it speaks for himself. He's been here long enough. So, no, I have absolute faith they're going to do just a fine job. And like I said, Allie said it. We have a great point. We've got a lot of people we know who can help us out. And Nags is a kind of a resource. There's a couple other people. Obviously, maybe if Kyle knows someone, we ask him too. I'm sure the way things ended in that regard, it wasn't left on a sour note. It's not like we're not on speaking terms, which is really nice. And I don't think we've had a coach where we can say that's been the case, or they've left and we've kind of been sour. But no, everything's ended really well, and we understand. Again, that's the biggest thing. So, we're eager for that, and we've got a lot of resources. There's a lot of people who will kind of say, hey, what do you think of them too? So it's a team effort all around.
You looking for a head coach with Pacific Northwest roots, because that's kind of an important thing. I mean, Kyle coaching down at Yakima Valley, and Ed, of course, been around forever around here. Or does geographic location of where you were born and raised and learned baseball, does that play any role at all?
It plays a role to some extent. Obviously, if you're from around here, it's a lot easier to make the trek. You're more connected to the schools that are in this area. But that's one of the big things that Jose has talked about this whole season and off season last year was, are we getting guys from all over the U.S.? Do we need to make a bigger change and find more guys from outside of these select group of schools that we normally pull from, and most of the WCL normally pulls from. And so I think no matter what, obviously we have great host parents, so we can always find somewhere for coaches to stay. But I think at the end of the day, it is kind of easier if you're going with someone who's local to the area or knows the area in general.
Well, Wenatchee's a great baseball town.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I like to think we're almost like what the Oakland A's had to do in the 2000s. If Corvallis has cornered the market on the Oregon State guys and maybe some of those players, what other areas can we kind of look into? I think that's behind what Jose is thinking, and I hope you'd appreciate the analogy. But I think that's kind of the thing. We've got to look, okay, if we can't win here, what other areas can we utilize that maybe other people aren't looking at or even consider?
And if there's a club you want to emulate, it is Corvallis, because, well, they've won the championship for 4 years in a row, but they do it the right way. They're a class organization.
Absolutely.
People don't, it's not like they don't like Corvallis. They love Corvallis in the West Coast League family. They're just, right now, they're good.
They are.
They're good.
No, we absolutely.
But you know what? So are the AppleSox.
Yeah, we absolutely respect everything they've done. They are one of the teams we say they do it the right way. And like us, are founding members of the league. And there's just certain teams in the league you can say they do it right. And I've always felt that way about Corvallis. Are we envious they've, had a lot of success? Absolutely. And I always tell people it did take, winning 3 years in a row just to pass the AppleSox in WCL titles. Nonetheless, they've done a great job. And right now they're the standard for the industry. They were, I think it was Perfect Games, Summer College Team of the Year. So the bar's set for the nation.
Yeah. By the way, while we were talking, I just filled out my resume, and it's all been done. So you can count. I'm in. I'm going. I applied for the job. So.
Well, we know you're a talker, so you're in for radio broadcast.
Just a couple of little things for you, Allie, before we go to the interview process. I don't do road games. I won't be able to do any of the road games.
That might be an issue.
Right, and Friday and Saturday nights, I'm really kind of busy. So if as long as I don't have to work Friday or Saturday nights in any road games, if we can start that in the negotiating process.
Yeah, if we can get our schedule from a few years ago where we didn't have any weekend home games, you might be all right.
Okay, because that would work for me, and I'm very expensive.
Okay,
that's styling, you know. Joel, your Pirates are 61-79. They stink.
I think you bring up these just because.
Well, they're still they can still make the playoffs.
As bad as they are, they're still not the worst team in the NL.
No, they're not.
Thank
you, Miami. Yeah.
Well, they just lost 2 or 3 to them.
Yeah.
So
Meanwhile, my Yankees, that scrappy little team of no names that nobody knows with the small payroll and the small market, are just hanging in there, trying to battle and scrap their way to the playoffs. So.
Yeah, they're doing what they can.
Oh, yeah, look at Atlanta. Atlanta's your team, of course. The Braves keep an eye on the Braves. Keep an eye on them. I would not want to play the Braves in the postseason in the first round.
Yankees-Dodgers World Series. And the Dodgers get it done.
I'm all over that. Allie, it's always good to see you. Joel, call ahead next time. And go AppleSox. And as soon as you reel one in, be sure to let me know, and we'll arrange for a media interview, because if they can get by me,
absolutely,
they can handle anybody.
It's the vetting process. Honestly, we don't tell them that. We say, talking to Dan Kuntz is part of the interview, though.
Yeah. So again, no Fridays, Saturdays, occasionally no road games.
Okay.
And a lot of money.
I'll put a good word in.
At least 6 figures for that.
Okay.
Hot Stove League talk anytime you want to come by. I made it.
Appreciate it.
Maybe for the playoffs we'll talk about.
Good call.
You know it. All right. Go Braves, go Pirates, go Yankees. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
They may not be from you, but they're a part of your family. For many reasons, not all children are being raised by their parents. Are you a family member who has stepped in to help raise grandchildren, nieces, or nephews? Whether court-ordered or not, Aging and Adult Care may be able to assist you with many needs. Kinship Care helps keep family and community ties together. Learn more about Kinship Care by contacting Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington, working together for a better quality of life for all.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. Remember the good old days? Sunday supper at Grandma's and the best recipes being passed down through generations? Well, come on out to Blueberry Hills and find amazing food with huge portions at family-friendly prices. From Benedict's to burgers to fresh fruit pies, there is something for everyone. Don't miss Blueberry Hills, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. wildaboutberries.com.
My name is Brian Thorpe. I own Global Car Care in Wenatchee and have been here for about 25 years.
Brian started Global Car Care as Brian's automotive alternative on Orondo Street.
Some customers were following Brian since Brian's automotive time.
No, we're just grateful to be part of this community. This is where I grew up. We want to do our part to be a valuable part of this community. We want to thank you for trusting our business for 25 years.
Welcome back. We got about a minute to go before we call it a day here, or a morning. On Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's take a look at your weather forecast one more time. Right now it's 60 degrees outside of our studio, 71. Again, we do have a chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon. About a 50% chance of an afternoon thunderstorm. Obviously, a little bit of rain associated with that, but we're not expecting a lot of rain. Tonight, 30% chance of showers, mostly cloudy, 54 for the overnight low. The unsettled weather and cooler than normal weather continues tomorrow. It's the same forecast as today. Lots of clouds. An afternoon thunderstorm is possible on Tuesday afternoon, and again high near 70. Then we warm up a little bit with some sunshine, and then we go back to a mixed bag over the weekend. Provided the show isn't canceled, we'll see you Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.